I started life very far away, born in a land called Ukraine. I left behind all the misery for the life that I wanted to make. God gave me life to this day, and all of my life there were choices. But when I left you someday, I'd be happy to say this was Canada. It gave to me a life worth the living. Now it's your turn to choose. This was Canada. Don't throw away the gifts that you're given. Not a moment to lose. This was Canada. All my life's just a memory, and each day there is more I forget. But something deep down inside of me says my past made the future you'll get. It's a lesson, I guess, and now here's the one chance to tell you. While the choice is for me, I say, Danny, please.
We did not go to Ukraine with Rusalka because of a wedding in the family. However, we were at the airport for their return to welcome them home. As the tired ensemble entered the airport, Sherry Rypak announced to us that they had left the costumes behind. What? Ben exclaimed that in typical Soviet fashion, the authorities wanted $5,000 US for excess baggage to release the 15 or so crates of costumes, even though we had paid to ship them in as freight. You have to realize that these were my costumes. How could they leave them behind? If I had been there, I would have refused to board the plane and most likely ended up in some kind of gulag. I cried all the way home in the car. To make matters worse, Rusalka was supposed to give homecoming performances at the concert hall in less than 2 weeks. What would we do? We had sold out performances and no costumes, not even the dancers' personal boots, as they were all in the boot bag that we had borrowed from the ballet. We joked about nude performances, a Ukrainian Oh Calcutta. But this was a serious matter. Ole came to the rescue. He harassed British Airways, and they started proceedings to get the costume crates out of the Soviet Union. Several times, Ole and Bill Rypak would travel out to the airport in a rented truck to receive the costume crates on an incoming flight, only to be told that they still had not arrived. Finally, about 2 or 3 days before the performances, the costumes showed up. This was way too close for comfort. I cried again.
So last, you had a family commitment and weren't able to join us in Ukraine. So you left, you entrusted the costumes to us that we took to Ukraine. We came back from Ukraine. You were so happy to see us, but...
Yes, but Ole and I went to the airport to greet you, and everybody was so excited. And Ben came off that plane, and I knew something was wrong. And I said, we have to go get all the costumes and take them back to the hall because we were going to unpack them that night.
Yeah.
And he said the costumes didn't come back. They kept the costumes.
What?
I could not believe it. I was just, how could you have done that? How could you have done that? You left my blood, sweat, and tears in Ukraine, and you came home without them.
Yeah.
And I just cried all the way home in the car. I could not believe it. I could not believe that they would leave them behind.
And so they kept promising, and Ole and Bill would drive out to the airport for so many false alarms.
I know.
They never arrived, and it was like 3 days before the show. I think that they finally came here.
It was pretty panicky, yeah, because not only did they finally arrive, but they had to be cleaned.
Which leads to the boot bag story, which some people say I'm embellishing, but this is the way I remember it. Is we had borrowed the RWB boot bag, and we just finished a performance in Kyiv, or we just finished dancing in Kyiv, and so we threw them in the boot bag, expecting to open the boot bag in 48 hours or 72 hours later in Winnipeg. But when the Soviets confiscated our costumes, we didn't see that boot bag for 3 weeks. And I remember being at UNF Hall when we unzipped the bag, and my recollection is the boots were covered with mushrooms. Now, you think mold. I'm saying mushrooms.
Okay, I'll go along with
They were covered with mushrooms.
It'll let you in. Little skinny mushrooms.
So the urban legend is that they did that because as soon as we took off in the Aeroflot flight from Moscow, we broke out into a rousing chorus of Shchenev Ukraina. And that may have had something to do with them deciding to kidnap our costumes. I'm sorry, Lash, but that was probably it.
Okay, there's another true confession.
True confession, yeah. There have been a few. So, Eunice Yushchishin from Euclid Avenue, what do you remember about the trip?
I don't remember a damn thing. It was all a dream.
I think you referenced an urban legend before, like
Yeah.
in many ways that trip aspects of it have mutated into urban legend, where I
Yeah.
catch myself and say,
Did that really
real?
happen? Yeah.
Did that really happen?
But 99% of it did.
It did, because there was just so much all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Remember the quartet of the three of us women, or was there
The
four
unit.
and you?
The
And you're-
unit.
You should
That's
have
what
your pants were
that's
falling.
what Irka called us, the unit.
And do you remember, Taras, when we came off the plane? Remember that we were touching the Zimla? Some
We
people
were.
like,
I kissed.
kissed it.
I wanted to take a picture kissing the flag and the Canadian flag, and whether Toronto or Montreal, and the security guard
Yeah.
wouldn't let me do it.
But that stayed with me as a story that I shared of how I wanted so many North American youth to go over. And once they start chirping about
Privileged
how,
stuff. Yeah.
yeah, privileged, right? Entitlement. I thought, maybe you need a teaching here, and this is where you should go. So it imprinted me that way as well.
Yeah.
That warrior in me of saying, hey, where's gratitude?
Yeah.
Show me some gratitude, because you don't know how fortunate you are.
So, Brenda, we talked about, relationships, communal relationships. Obviously there must have been some individual relationships for the collective, for others, for yourself. Anything you want to say about that?
Well, I can only relate it to a television show that people of our generation might be familiar with. It's called Peyton Place. And I do recall quite distinctly my first introduction to our Peyton Place was in our dormitory in Scotland. And I would just, be sitting on a stairwell and watch people coming and going from various rooms. I'm going, oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that that's where they're spending their night, but I guess they were. After that, I found out it's like, well, no questions asked.
Exchanging recipes.
Exchanging recipes.
Thank you. Down steps. Thank you. There we go.
В мене біле, в тебе чорне, в мене порожне, в тебе повне. Розійдімся, досить буде з нас. Що то за безличність? Я до кіна, ти в театр, я на пляжу, ти на катеж. Скиньмо карти, шлюз, амін і пас. Як ми покохались, нам здавалось, будем як бжілька і квіт. Через дисонанси, шанси на романси стали так, як пес і кіт. Я модерне, ти класичне, це кохання хаотичне. На прощання поцілунок дай. Adios, amigos, до побачення, бай-бай. В тебе біле, в мене чорне, в тебе порожне, в мене повне. Розійдімся, досить буде з нас. Що це за безличність? Я до кіна, ти в театр, я на пляжу, ти на картидж. Скиньмо карти, шлюз, амін і пас. Як ми покохались, нам здавалось, будем бачілька й квіт. Через досу нам ці шанси на романси стали так як passing heat. Я модерне, ти класичне, це кохання хаотичне. На прощання поцілунок дай. Adios, amigos, до побачення, бай-бай. Як ми покохались, нам здавалось, будем я пшілька й квіт.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. To the front. 2.
From the oldest living Cossack marks these words. A dancer is like an eagle that waits in the wings. A dancer is like the snake that slithers up to the bar. A dancer dances like a tiger on stage. Musicians, play a fast dance and I'll dance till the heels of my boots disappear. Then I'll dance barefoot.
These triumphant two shows in Winnipeg at the Concert Hall. And so the naysayers that we had that had approached us before the show, how do you think they reacted to our performance?
Well, you know what? They came. They came to see. They definitely did, because they wanted to see what had happened. What, Rusification had taken place.
Right.
I believe that's what they actually were looking for.
Yeah.
What they expected. They were going to see something different. And what, in fact, they did see was a much, much improved ensemble in every step, in every approach, everything that we did. We were on a higher level, much higher. We were tight. We were on. Yeah. The synchronicity was there. We were performing at a higher level than when they had seen us perhaps 3, 4, 5, 6 months ago, or at any point in time.
Yeah.
We had achieved some quite a much better style of dance, a much better even, as someone might say, the soul, like we danced with so much more heart after that. I think that was what really was reflected, and a few people may have mentioned that there was that soul that was then had opened up, and we were dancing not just for ourselves but for everybody else and everybody that we encountered. So it was quite the experience, that concert. The performance that we had, whatever it was, certainly there have been many concerts in there, and they've all been excellent in their own right, but that particular one, when we performed, the crowd, I think, was just in awe. Our audience was just
even
in
the
awe.
worst critics couldn't not like it.
Yeah, exactly. And, and the fact that we were so well in sync, we were so well trained.
We had it down to a science as far as putting the signs up and what everybody needed for every dance. so that they could collect everything beforehand, and everybody had their own little spot that they kept their costumes in for the various costume changes.
And I remember stories, especially rookies, where there'd be the panic, especially a concert hall stage, where somebody would grab somebody else's costume.
Right.
That was always a nightmare. Would happen.
Well, there was one costume that I have to admit. I sabotaged the costume, the dance, because I didn't want. I thought it was okay to wear that costume in Europe, but I didn't want them to wear that headpiece. The girls wear that headpiece in Winnipeg. I thought it would be called looking too Russian.
There you go. Okay,
So
true confessions.
So in order to, I took one out and I hid it.
Yeah.
And so there was a panic. And I said, well,
you're hearing it here, folks. The true confessions, 2026.
So instead of wearing a white winter fairy headpiece, they went back to their usual braided hutsel.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you for that one.
Confessions, yeah. I had to go to confession.
Done. Hanya, what stands out for you, or what do you remember about our show when we came back to Winnipeg 3 weeks after the tour?
Well, it was quick. All of a sudden, we had to get everything together and put ourselves together in, for the show. It was a big one. We learned these dances in Ukraine, and we got out on stage, and there was a standing ovation from Centennial Concert Hall, which was sold out.
Yeah, 2 shows.
2 shows.
Yeah.
And they were so remarkably grateful because it was Ukrainian, It wasn't Russian dancing. We weren't there to learn Ruski stuff. We were there to be Ukrainian.
We learned from those who had a spark. It certainly wasn't a spark all over the country or the bulk of the population, but at least there was a spark, and we met them and we saw them and we were supported by them.
Exactly, yeah. And I think that was a huge turnaround for our community. Going, oh, okay, we can go to Ukraine.
Yeah,
and
we can't dialogue with these people.
Yeah. And we can go there and
without being tainted.
We can get trained by them. Meron and I went back in '83, and so on and so on. So it was sort of I think a real embracing moment for the Ukrainian community.
Scotland. And we did the Winnipeg show for Zaporozhets. We used the very fancy special effects, and it was the fog that was blown in. So the curtain was closed. Zaporozhets was the first number in the second half, and the smoke would come in, and we're all standing there posed. And I had some of the young guys. I had Ivas Kravchenko and Bo Stus beside me, and I turned to them and I went, "Oh, did you guys go to the can?" And, what are you talking about? No, seriously, like, did you go to the can? Because we all went to the can. No. Oh, geez. Well, that stuff that's blown in, that's oil-based. It's a laxative. And so, like, but don't worry about it. Like, most of us have crapped ourselves once or twice. And you're wearing Shadabadis. And then Shadabadis, and they're not going to notice. I'm sorry, I wish we had told you. Dun, 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 dun. And so I swear they tried to do the entire dance holding their breath. It was good.
Holding their butts and holding their breath.
This stuff is a laxative. Didn't you know? This stuff. We've done the Winnipeg show. We go to our old haunt, Ray and Jerry's.
New haunt to me.
Okay.
Old haunt, of course, to
Yeah.
Ben and Oli. That's where the movers and shakers
Yep.
of Winnipeg would go. It was
The red Naugahyde.
the whole mid-century modern red leather
Yeah.
Rat Pack look.
Yep.
It was a roadhouse built in the late 50s.
Okay.
And to take on that exact vibe of the Vegas roadhouse. And it was about 3 or 4 minutes beyond downtown, so it wasn't in all the little delis downtown, so if you wanted to get away and do business. So Ben and Oli were regulars there. And what a wonderful surprise to find out that that's where our cast party was. It wasn't in a room in the back of the concert hall. And of course, the food is phenomenal, and there was no limit to the to the beverages, and special guests of the group were invited.
Abdielski was there.
I remember, that's right, and I remember sitting at a booth with Andriy Tereshchuk.
Okay.
And he was speaking to, I just happened to be sitting there, and he was speaking to Meron and 2 or 3 others critiquing the show. And Andriy was his word is what we would take as gold, and that's the direction we got to go, that's what we got to fix. And I remember him saying this, and I think I mentioned something like this when I was talking about the workshop we had in Gimli. He said, it's just incredible for me to see the caliber of the group right now compared to what it was even a year and a half ago. He was a former star dancer in the group. It's a difficult thing for somebody like that to say.
Yep.
But he was being very honest about it and said, right now, the caliber of the dancers has eclipsed the quality of the choreography. You can't be doing 8 counts and 8 counts. You have to start getting into some... And that spawned Ben and Oli bringing in the Roma Primas and the Zhukovins and all these great choreographers, basically based on what Andriy's, acknowledgement of that fact.
Yeah.
But it was a great night. Obviously, at some point, Steve Rosellis had to get us out, and it wasn't early. So this was about 5 when the last dogs finally crawled out. And fateful last words. Joanne Lenyuk, who was living, her and her sister Patty, both in the group.
Mom was out of town.
We're living with their mom. Their mom was actually working an early shift.
That's what it was.
And it was, I believe, 5 to noon or something like that. So her mom wasn't home. And she said, my place is available.
Yeah. She kind of whispered. Yeah.
Kind of whispered in a drunken stupor that maybe this is something I should say, shouldn't say.
Yeah.
And I knew, what is this, 2026? I know till this day she regrets. Because that was what we needed.
Yeah.
We needed a place for this incredibly magic summer to somehow be elongated, even if for 2 or 3 more hours. It wasn't 2 or 3.
Well, it was elongated for another 40 days and 40 nights, but that's another story.
That's right, and it was. But that particular night's party just had to somehow continue on, because if it did, it would just turn into another. It was like a hippie commune that summer.
Yeah,
It was whatever, somebody rolls with something, somebody comes up with something, that's good too. So we showed up there, I guess by the time some of us may have gone home and changed into something more casual, and showed up, it was about 7, I got there, and there was probably 20 people in the house already.
Yeah.
And so, of course, Jody and Patty are cutting pickles and kubasa and cheese and everything, getting it all out.
And then people are lined up at the telephone phoning in sick to work.
That didn't happen till about 7:45, 8 o'clock. But there was a line of teachers and city workers and students saying, I can't make it to the test. One soul, however, chose to man up and go. And this is late September, so it is an important kind of a midterm to the fall semester test to see if lots of us were in first year, see if you go on from there. And so he wrote a math test, doesn't remember getting
calculus, both students.
That's right.
Calculus exam.
And doesn't remember writing it.
He tells this story.
Has he told it?
Yeah, he tells the story.
He got 100%.
He got 100%, yeah.
So he shows up after the test saying, was I right that there was a party here? Yeah. Where have you been? Well, I just went and wrote an important exam, but I know I flunked it. Well, that wasn't the case.
It was a hard exam, you got 100%.
And it just continued to turn into the circus it had been for the last month when Peter Paulishin showed up, and the city was replacing the sidewalk in front of the Lenyuk home.
Right.
And these guys are working away, sweating. It was September, but it was a warm day. By that time, it's 9, 10 in the morning. Peter shows up with 2 26s of rye, wishes the fellas well, asks them if they'd like a drink. They, of course, politely decline.
Okay, there is a urban legend about after our final show in Winnipeg. And we had this all-night party at Lenyuk's house. And the legend has it that you actually had an important exam that morning, that despite being up with us all night long, you went to the exam, you aced the exam, and came back and ready to go. What do you remember about that?
Yeah, that was at Lenyuk's after that tour show, in Winnipeg. I think it was the Winnipeg Concert Hall. So we partied all night. I think it was quite a party. So I went to my test after the party. I didn't have any sleep or anything like that. I don't remember how I got to the U of M. I even don't remember writing the test. And it was a test on calculus, integrals. And after the test, after I got some sleep and everything, I said, oh, I really screwed this up. And I'm trying to get a good mark and everything like that. I really screwed up. But somehow I got 100%. How did I do that? And it was just whatever. And we got our tests back a couple of days later, and it was not an easy test. It was like tough integral questions in calculus. And it's like, how the heck did I do that? And I'm looking at this, who wrote this test? It wasn't me.
So to interject, it was the adrenaline. It was the adrenaline, obviously, from performing, because it certainly wasn't rest or preparation. The adrenaline of the show in Winnipeg aced the test, and that certainly is the legend that is now verified.
Yeah, and it was a university first year, so it's like 100 people in the class writing a test, and I think only 2 or 3 people got 100%.
Nicely done.
Okay, so after the Winnipeg show, We had a gathering at Ray and Jerry's, and then there was a bit of a party. What can you say?
So we went to Ray and Jerry's and had a beautiful reception and everything else. And just on the side, Anatoly Avdiivsky was there.
Yes.
Because he was in town, so that was a nice connection from the trip. So it's nearing the end of the party, and Joanne and I are sitting together, and Joanne says to me,
I just leaned over quietly and I said, Donna, my mom's out of town. Why don't we have a few friends come over and we can party? Well, I guess Oli heard and got up on the mic and said, party at Lennox. So my sister looks at me, and I was like, I whispered, Donna. Okay, well, so the word's out. So Donna and I race to my mom's house, go downstairs to the freezer now, because people are coming over, you gotta feed them, right?
Exactly.
So we're looking through the freezer.
and of course, Mrs. Lanyuk had all kinds of food,
Always,
as usual. So everybody starts piling in, and the party goes on well into the evening, into the morning. And Oli Romanu was leaving around 8 a.m. He was still wearing his tuxedo. He's carrying a case of beer. And the city is fixing the city sidewalks. So he says to the guys, if I give you a case of beer, will you fix Lanyuk sidewalk? So they did. So they got a new sidewalk for a case of beer from a guy wearing a tuxedo at 8 in the morning.
So now it's Monday morning, and people have university and jobs to go to, and there were no cell phones then. So there was a phone in the basement, a phone in the kitchen, and a phone in the bedroom, and everybody's calling in sick to work. I won't mention names, but, and then one, was it Bo?
Bo Stews.
Bo Stews had to go and write an exam and aced it.
Calculus exam. You got 100% for this calculus exam.
Yeah.
Urban legend, but it's actually true.
So it was about 9:30 and everybody had left except Pete Paulushin was still sleeping in the basement. So, and those were the days where everybody smoked, and so I thought, I'm gonna wait till I clean up the house a bit and then wake up Pete. So I woke up Pete. He says, well, Joni, it's 9:30, time for a beer. And that was the legend of that infamous party.
Right on.
But you didn't say that was Peter Federation that was fixing this.
Forgot to mention the fellow that fixed the sidewalk was Peter Federation, who was Randy Smoop's brother-in-law. And at Randy's celebration of life, I went and talked to Peter, and he remembered.
Remember that?
Nice.
How's the sidewalk?
Oh, well, we sold the house. It was good till we moved.
Come on, you guys are bogging down.
There be no bar.